This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Baruch Haba. We're continuing Mishna Daf Hashavua. I just want to let everybody know that we're going to very soon be starting Chilek Beis of Mishna Berura. So, Madison Square Garden was not available for the Siyam for Chilek Aleph, but we'll see what we could do. On that note, number one, please tell your family, friends, acquaintances, contemporaries, associates that we're going to be starting Chilek Beis basically right after Purim. Okay, so if you want to be mezaka people with a very important limud, the most important thing to learn is halacha. The most important halacha to learn is halacha l'maisa. The most important halacha l'maisa is Orach Chaim. It comes up every day. That's what the Mishna Berura says in the Hakdama. So if you want to be mezaka people, you can tell them to join the Seder. I think I'm gonna try to advertise also, and if anybody wants to be mishtatif in that, you can let me know. Okay, we're starting now Siman Kuf Chavav. We began the first sif yesterday. We saw the Mechaber says that a Sheikh Tzibur that made a mistake and he skipped one of the brachas, and when they mention him, when they remind him, he could regain his bearings. We don't remove him. But if he skipped Hamalshinim, we remove him. Maybe he's an apikares. And if he started the bracha, but he stumbled, we're not going to remove him. The Mishna Berura discussed, well, what if he skipped Berchas Tchias Hamesim or Bnei Yerushalayim? We're not worried, maybe he's a kofer. However, if he skipped both of them, then there are opinions that indeed he would be removed. We're up to the fourth line in the Mishna Berura, Sivkat and Beis. V'da, demuchach l'kuli alma. You should know that it's clear, according to everyone, de'im anu yoidim, that if we know shehu kofer b'tchias hamesim, if we know that he denies tchias hamesim, or does not believe in redemption, the kol shekain, or by the way, let's say he's not mammon begula asida, or let's say he believes the gula asida already came. Okay, you hear this? Not only somebody who doesn't believe in the gula asida, also what if somebody believes that the gula asida came already? That's also an issue with having somebody as a chazan. The kol shekain, the didi hava uvda. I once was used as one of the members of a bezdin for a gerus, and in the mikvah, the av bezdin asked the person, "Do you keep Shabbos? Yeah. Do you believe in Mashiach? Yeah. Do you believe he's going to come or that he came already?" He said, "If you tell me you think he came already, I can't do it. We will not convert you." So that's also miyasoidei ho'emuna. Don't think it's a small thing. If you think he came already, then that's a different religion. Somebody doesn't believe in the divine origin of the Torah, or in reward and punishment. According to everyone, he's a full-fledged apikares. You can't let him be a shel tzibur. And if he says, "I don't care, I'm going to down for the amud," it's at Matilda's yard site. We're not going to answer Amen. However, ein misalkin oisai ella shoyin ad sheyazkiru oisai. We do not remove him, but rather we wait until they remind him. Right? This is talking about a guy that this is going on in Misalkin Oisai, that he skipped the bracha, and when we remind him, he is able to go back to his spot. We will not remove him. We rather let him get his bearings. Avalim dileg, but if he skipped Lamashinim Dafka Bishadile Kula Avlam Dileg Roisha Bracha Vasim Chasimasa Loimatzin Shamasalkan Oisai, if he just skipped the beginning, but he did the end. We don't remove him. Similarly, if he doesn't want to say la koifrim, only v'la malshinim ein misalkin oisai. What does that mean? He doesn't want to say la koifrim. I guess they had a girsa la koifrim. Some places like us, we say v'la malshinim. Okay. Miyad. If he skips v'la malshinim, we remove him immediately. Purest ve'ein mamtinon lo she'eskiru oisai. We don't wait until they remind him. El masalkin oisai mehateva miyad. But rather we remove him immediately. Kishema nizruka bay'ata apikarsus ve'enaratza lekal atzayin. Because maybe all of a sudden some apikarsus jumped into him, and he doesn't want to curse himself. L'chein dileg brachazu. Even if, let's say, last night he gave the daf yomi, and the day before he said Yom Kippur Katan, and today he skips from Elam Oshinim, he's out. Gam ken chashinan laza. Mekamakim ein mesakin osam shel tzibur mishum pamachas kivin sheish lamer shata. Nevertheless, we're not going to permanently remove him. We'll remove him today. Tomorrow he could daven for the Amud. However, he brings, the Pri Megadim says if he does it 3 times, he's strike 1, strike 2, strike 3, and he's out. Ein misalkin oisai, but if he just mumbled, thumpered around in that bracha, we don't remove him. Afilu sha bein tayim harbe v'lo yachal lizacher. Even if it took him a long time to recover, afil hachi talina mishabeshkagahu, still we hinge it that it was a mistake, mida hischal, by the fact that he started it. Okay. But what about now the Shliach Tzibor that made a mistake but cannot regain his bearings? Shliach Tzibor Shata, Shliach Tzibor that made a mistake, he doesn't know how to go back to his spot. Yamoid Acher Tachtav. He should appoint someone in his place. They should appoint someone in his place. Basically, the guy made a mistake and he can't get his bearings. You have to replace him. Like we said earlier in Siman Gimel, Mascha Metchilas HaBracha Shata Ze Im Hoya Hatos Ba'amtzaiyos. The new guy starts where the first person made the mistake, but he goes back to the beginning of that bracha. He doesn't have to go back to the beginning of Shemana Esrei. So if the Chazan was very discombobulated during and he can't regain his composure, so the new Chazan doesn't start from the beginning. He starts from the beginning of that bracha. But if he made a mistake in the first 3, Maschel Barosh, he starts from the new Chazan starts from the beginning. If it's in the last 3, Maschel Ritzei. Says the Mishna Berura, meaning to say that he is confused, and he's not able to go back to his spot. Afla acher shemaskirin oisai, even when they remind him. The chanal. Tachtav ulchatchila toiv shehia oisai ho'acher mi shekivan l'chol atfila masher tzibor v'loisach b'shasha shel tzibor mispala. L'chatchila, the new Chazan, it's good to get a guy who's paying attention to the Chazar Sashatz and did not speak when the Shel Tzibur was davening. Why? Because this way you have a complete Shemana Esrei. This way, he was mechaving to the first 9 brachos, and now he picks it up. It's very interesting that the Mishna Berura says it's only l'chatchila and toiv, but it's not ma'akev. Meaning, you could have a guy who is shmuzing during Chazar Sashatz. He didn't hear one word the Shliach Tzibur said, and he's randomly picking it up at V'Yerushalayim Ercha. V'im lo nimtza kazeh yikchu af mi shelo kiven bazeh. V'afilu hachi gam bazeh lo yaschal mitchilas habracha. Even him, he should start from the beginning of the bracha. Mimnei Torah chat Tzibur. That's interesting. How in the world could he say 9 bracha? How could he say the last 9 brachas? His bracha, his Shemana Esrei, is completely meaningless. How is he allowed to say a meaningless Shemana Esrei? Unless you say it's not meaningless. There's a takana of Chazal that the Shemana Esrei has to be repeated, even though really nobody needs it. So technically the whole thing is meaningless. But it's not. Chazal were masakin that needs to be done. So they were masakin that if the first guy, loses his bearings, so then another guy could tag team with him. Siman and Gemara.
Presumably this applies to a Hatzalah guy who's the Chazan, gets called out in the middle, no?
What?
A Hatzalah guy who's the Chazan, and he gets called out in the middle.
Right.
This is what we're talking about now, right?
I guess it would apply to that as well, right? We're talking about a guy who, he loses it in the middle. He gets confused. He starts coughing. He doesn't know where he's. But l'chayra, yeah, that would be a more likely case. A guy has to leave, right? A Hatzalah guy or someone or a Chazan that has a medical emergency.
According to what Rabbi just said about that somebody doesn't have to say this. But someone who did, the second guy who didn't daven Shemana Esrei yet, he l'chayra would not be able to get up and just do the 9 brachas.
Maybe he would be allowed to do the 9 brachas, but I don't know if it would count for his personal Shemana Esrei. In other words, I would say he could be the Chazan, right?
Right.
But he would probably have to daven again. By the way, I know of a story in Yom Noram in my old yeshiva. The regular Baal Shachris, just dehydrated in the middle of Shachris, he fainted. And Hatzalah came. So here, it's not that the Chazan was a Hatzalah guy, but the Chazan had a medical emergency on, I believe, Yom Kippur. It was Yom Noram. Anyway, Mitchilas habracha, va'afilu im lo yita ela b'seif. Even if he only made a mistake at the end of the bracha, the new Chazan picks it up from the beginning of that bracha. Shekriya, kriyas oisa bracha k'mandal asadami. Reading that bracha is like it doesn't exist. Ve'in chiluk bein shata. Doesn't matter if he made a mistake. Oisha nechlash, or he was weak. And somebody has to take his place. Sometimes during Yom Naram, this is the case we mentioned, that the shots is weak, and he has someone take his place. Meaning, let's say like this: the Chazan in the middle of one of these 9-page piyutim, he's done. So he has to appoint somebody to take his place. That guy starts from the beginning of the bracha. However, he doesn't have to repeat the piyutim. We once had this story. I told you this story. In our shul, many years ago, the Chazan for Ne'ilah, Baruch atah Hakel HaKadosh. He forgot to say HaMelech HaKadosh. The problem was I was in the middle of Shemana Esrei still. I told you this. So I got up in the middle of the Shemana Esrei, and I went to him, and I spoke. I told him he has to start from the beginning, and he should skip all the misoids, cut the piyutim. I hope we did the right thing. I don't think there's any alternative. Anyway, so then, if the new guy picks it up from where the last guy left off, and he doesn't start from Atav V'chartanu, Kivan Sha'adayin Lefnei Hasheni Loimer B'Soif Slichos Machal La'avanoisenu Ein Lahakbid B'Mas Shekitzer Ba'am Tza'iyos. If B'diavad he began where the first guy was silent and not from Atav V'chartanu, since the second guy has to say at the end of Slichos Machal La'avanoisenu, it's okay that he abbreviated the middle bracha. I don't know what he means. Does he mean, since you're going to say, Melech moichal avonoseinu, avonois kol amcha beis Yisrael, umavir ashmoiseinu. What about what the Chazan still has to say allows him to do this? The Dirshu brings Shabbos and Yom Tov as well. If the second guy picks it up to where the first guy left off, and the second guy is not missing something that's ma'akev, and he was choisem kahoigen, he doesn't have to go back. The Aruch HaShulchan says even l'charchila, since the ikar of Tfilas Musaf on Shabbos and Yom Tov is the karbanos, if the first guy stopped out before karbanos, the shots could just pick it up with karbanos. On Musaf of Rosh Hashanah, if the shots stopped in the middle of Malchios or Zechroinos, the Sefer Shvilei David says, if the shots picks it up with the psukim of Malchios or Zechroinos, that would be good. Okay, Rabbi, so we'll hold it over here. Have a great day.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.